Hello and welcome to TFT Worlds Last Chance Qualifiers, game number 5.
Dan, I know that you've talked a ton about how bad it is, but Vita, I want your opinion on how bad an opening cloak is off the carousel.
Yeah, tell us.
It can sometimes be like a cloak of invisibility, right? Because you kind of go missing from the game because you're just going to start down one component most of the time. Yes, like Dragon Call slang would be good, BT slang would be good, but like, those two items not very present in the early game.
Yeah, you're going to have to make do with what you got. There is one composition that theoretically could want a lot of cloaks, and that's Lilia reroll, because you want a cloak for a chalice.
Q-cone.
You want the Ionic Spark. Hey, maybe you can utilize some of those other cloaks for other items. I don't think you get to start off with cloak, though, and think that you have many options. And we did see one player attempt a Lilia reroll. It was not very successful. Kermix went hard.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty bad take from the spot they were in. We're seeing that Mirage is Warlord's Honor, so a lot of different spots open for grabs on that one. A belt dropped here for Bricks. Not exactly the strongest on your starting items.
I feel like we should probably just like have the soundbite of like David going "watch out" every time someone's considering, like playing Lilia reroll, just like as a reminder of how bad of an idea it is.
Wait, I'm missing context on this. What is this? Did he squeal like
Yeah,
Lilia?
that's his thing. He says, "Watch out!" It's just it's like David's favorite like voice line in the entire game. So.
I see. So he cosplays as Nidalee. He does the voice lines of Lilia. Is this dude just kind of like a fairy woodlands creature aficionado? Listen, David, I'm not going to open your incognito tabs on Google Chrome, but come clean, man. You've just been outed by Vita.
Loving seeing the Malphite trapped in the corner here from Toddy's side, emphasizing that point of start building up the extra stack early. Let's not get extra pressure onto the board.
All right, down here. So again, you have the Euro Seraphine, you have an early belt. Scope Weapons, Ancient Archives, and Battle Mage. Battle Mage is probably the one that you're not looking to play into the Grave Seraphine, but like even Scope Weapons and Ancient Archives can be good here.
Battle Mage is okay in some of those compositions, as you mentioned, just taking the combat augments. We've also seen people take Ancient Archives in other regions. China likes Ancient Archives and manipulating it.
Yeah.
Rerolls and finds two pretty good options in Cybernetic Implants and Sunfire board. I'd be kind of surprised if he went for Triforce, given there's no 3 costs on his board already, so we have 1 commitment already.
Ooh.
Lootmaster? Okay. Lootmaster, pretty strong, right? It's like scaling. If you think about Draven's Axe and you like what you get from Draven's Axe, then you'll love Lootmaster.
Yeah, but I see Lootmaster in a ratio component grabback, right? Like.
yes, but you can't get component grabback at 2-1.
That is true,
so this is component grabback at 2-1, essentially.
Yeah,
Archangel Staff being held by Kurum's Yone at this point, so pretty distinct little path for them right now, sitting with Metabolic as well. So, the lose streak opportunity here for Kurum looking a lot better when you're getting free healing.
Let's take a look at the Lootmaster augment card here in case, because it's one of the lesser picked augments that we don't really see too much of in general, right? It should be coming up on the screen here just shortly.
Yeah, that's right. So Lootmaster is really powerful because Guild is just high tempo. So part of the reason what makes it good is you get a Twitch. Twitch is a very good item holder, even though it's on Nidalee at the moment because it's a 2-star unit. The fact that you get a component the longer you live makes you feel like you're scaling in a different way. People want scaling through different ways, like maybe itemization or maybe the amount of gold that they could critically mass and get these dragons. But ramping through item generation is also another legitimate win condition because you could just have so much, and also kind of shores up a little bit of the weaknesses of things like the Xayah composition, because you just want to have so many items for people. Like the Xayah, you want to have my Shyvana, maybe you want to have some of those items on Jace as well. That's why you go for these gloves a lot of times. Maybe you don't have to because of that Lootmaster.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by the Gnar swap for the Wukong 2. Like, you are getting the Shapeshifter buff there, but Wukong 2 that's not a joking unit here early on.
It's not a joking unit. Could we have leveled to 5? Not without selling things. So I think I agree with it in principle because the Nidalee is the carry. And if Nidalee has 40% less HP, I mean, for one, she theoretically could be dead by now. But also, it just makes it so that you're leaning into what makes your composition strong. I think I like it, but I see where you're coming from. And it's important that Tex keeps his doors open. You can even level next turn to play that Wukong too.
Yeah. Opens up a couple options there. We did see Preston getting a preparation early on as well, so one of those nice spots for a comfort pick in terms of their lineup, the Seraphine Graves. And I saw an early Jeweled Lotus for Bricks as well. That tends to come into fruition, I'd say, as you grab the Infinity Edge and then grab a holder for that, but a very strong opening augment.
Yeah, and again, Bricks will go missing in the early game, which hasn't really been his style so far today, right? Again, you're talking about how Jeweled Lotus really only comes into play towards the later the game. It does mean you end up like really burning full up, because even though you will have like an early IE, for example, there's not a lot of base AP to really like back that up.
Whoa.
2 players go to 5.
But one player who's not streaking, Deleted, is not on a win streak and chose to go to 5. That is very aggressive.
It is, and it kind of sends the lobby to us for a spin as well, right? Because, like, let's say you're someone like Preston right now who's kind of low on the HP, you just, like, randomly hit and delete it. It's just, like, trying to somewhat grief and trying to stop streaks, and you just, like, they get absolutely railed and lose, like, 5 more HP than you should.
I think it's probably a good take here, though. You know, Josue Deleted sitting at 18 points right now. You're in 5th place. There's 4 players ahead of you sitting at 20, 20, 20, and 24 points. So you have to have a breakout performance in this lobby in order to be contention for game number 6.
No pre-level here either, right? So just gonna, you know, level after the carousel, they have to Wukong 2 and doesn't necessarily need to look for unit post level, which is why he can take the extra econ.
No volley bear with a rod.
Always a good sign, you know, always a good sign.
Yeah, you're right. There is no Volibear.
A lot of tears as well. Like, looking at the open components, that's it's insane amount of tears, to be fair.
A lot of tears. I just want to point, anytime there's a volley bear with a rod, it feels like there's just a beeline race for that one. It always feels that way.
Yeah, I know, and that's because the Shimmer has been really valuable. Not necessarily last game for everybody with that Draven's Axe, but previously.
he's last to pick and gets a bow?
He gets a bow, and it's on a Gnar, if I recall correctly, which means that you get Gnar too.
Oh, I was about to ask, was this Brick's perspective? But like, it is Salvi, you know, I don't know if it's just like a unified EMEA thing, or we just get to see these early days.
Is Salvi going to be the dream breaker here today?
Well, he does have Swift Shot emblem, so it's a little bit awkward, but you theoretically could put Swift Shot emblem onto that Deja, just give it a lot of attack speed, then just work on pure stat ramp.
But again, Rage Blade too.
So, Salvi is a player that is known to play Saya, right? And again, playing Saya is very much about how you arrive at Saya. So let's say, like, it might sound really wild, but this could be something like a Deja holdover point for a Saya board, depending on how this pans out.
I can see it. I can see it. And I like where your head's at because Xayah wants to be played from a position of being ahead, both in HP and economy. So I like what you're saying. Good shout. We'll see if that ends up being the case. And also, the upside is you just hit Deja, too. Just play Warlord Deja.
Just play it, right?
Maybe
like...
2 duplicators drop out of the Krugs. Who knows?
Haven't seen that one before.
Oh, man. Boy, do I have a story to tell you.
Taking a bit of a hit here, but again, the metabolic on this one. Don't let it fool you on Kerm's life total coming into this round. Working on that lost streak idea and then trying to build it out for the rest of the spot there. Again, did pick up a win at some point in there to kind of offset that balance, but ultimately looking for a lost streak, put that into stage 3. Lucas's board, however, they're sitting at the penultimate spot in the lobby right now, tied with Kerm at 17 points. You're going to have back-to-back strong performances here, or you're not getting it done at the LCQ.
So I have a question here, right? So I haven't seen a lot of Get Expert in this set specifically. It was a lot stronger in 6.5, 7.0. Is there a specific reason why it has fallen out?
Well, it's still actually pretty solid, specifically at 2-1 for win streak, but it's because no composition truly considers Static Shiv as part of their ideal item augment setup, not to mention the repeated nerfs. So you just kind of have all these combinations, and it results in Gadget Expert is just okay. That being said, Lucas has optimized it in both ways because Ruden's Hurricane is the other item that is benefiting, as well as Ionic Spark and I believe Bramble Vest. Those are the 4 items that you can capitalize off of Gadget Expert. And so Lucas has tempo. That's why he's streaking. And that could be the note to because Lucas just wants to go for a consistent finish. The downside is I don't know if Lucas will be able to win the lobby or maybe even top 2 because other people have much higher capped boards. But maybe his tempo is just so high, he hits level 9, and he can just put things like Shiv on another unit that happens to want AP, like an Aurelian Soul or an Aushin, and then just win through Dragon Power.
I mean, even something like a Chaos Dragon, for example, could end up being like a really big thing for Lucas. If we're thinking like really far optics, right? Because you all have these kind of chaotic items while people like have been holding on to components for a big part of the game, trying to get their best in slot, and then will be prohibited by that, right? You have to think about these things when you are as far down in the mod as Lucas is right now, and can you make a second Static Shiv or a second Rune's Hurricane?
Yeah, or even a Hand of Justice. So the reason why I point this out is because there is sort of an underground build of Zeri reroll. A lot of people, so the person I'm going to reference is Dish Soap from North America. He told me that he thought going into regionals that Zeri Guardians was a potential SS tier composition. Finds Goldmancer off of the Shimmer scale, which automatically solves some of the problems that Lucas was encountering in the mid game. This is an excellent position, but other people are going to scout that and maybe consider rolling down for it.
And Salvi just going for the Heartbreaker here. I mean, look at what's going on. Leveled up to 6, sitting at 5 gold left, has the Deja. They're trying to just disassemble everything and throw this lobby into chaos right now.
And he is free streaking, right? So again, he can start his streak all throughout the stage here. Pressman's board we've seen here has a fully prepped Volibear with Hand of Justice and the Goldmancer staff.
Facing against a Swift Shot Rage Blade Deja, though.
Yeah, it just puts the onus onto whether or not you can crack through the front line fast enough because the Deja will ramp up, has had a couple of wins. 3 wins to be precise, so that way you can get the big amount of stacks. And this should just be a pretty easy win for the Deja because there's no damage remaining. Prestivan also in general was probably hoping not to face Salvi in particular because he was trying to capitalize on some of the other people that didn't level, but Salvi is the only person streaking. Lucas did end up losing, by the way, as we head into the 3-2 augment.
Oh boy.
I mean, that was the component grab back, so it did show up, it did talk about it, and it is getting picked as well here, going for the maximum tempo right here, right now. Prep has better late game optics, but that's not going to be the case here. Young Spark, you're talking about it. Okay. Hero in training, not so much a thing anymore, was kind of like a thing we tried a bit for a while. Rerolls it in here, Bruiser Crest, and Ascension, but doesn't that really take any things out right as well? It goes to the Ascension.
Xiaoyu comes into the play. So when you're talking about Ascension, works really well with compositions that like to stall. Jade, stall is one of its win conditions. The longer the fight goes, the more you're going to be stacking that healing percentage and attack speed.
I mean, if you just like visualize, like, you imagine this Volibear being turned into a Siphon with these items, right? Like you already have like your entire level 7 game plan panned out in your head.
Yeah, the only downside is that he's kind of like one off of a lot of things. One off the Shimmer, one off the Lagoon. Just kind of wish that he had Jax so he can get this Volibear up to full power. But it's okay. This is still a pretty reasonable spot. He goes up against Toti, who does have not 1, not 2, but 3 tiers employed right now. Blue buff plus a tier on his Vladimir. We saw Toti also, you know, be part of that Lagoon situation where it worked out. Gets that rod off of the 80 score reward for Lagoon. So things are looking okay component-wise for Toti. Can he find a way to piece together a good enough run to stabilize his board for Lagoon?
And again, right, and we're talking about Lagoon, right? I think the trailblazer for Lagoon, like this set, the one that my price for going for is Kaiser 200 Deja in shop, that has been this shop, right? And again, what is best in slot on Deja, like, on like, you know, on Zone these days, right? Because like you had the whole, okay, blue buff, Morello, Giants, and you had the full burst setup. Like, where do you go?
I think it's a lot more open than people give it credit for. That's why people really like Sunfire board in particular, because there's no need for Morello if you're applying it to everybody at the beginning of the fight.
I am looking at this board here from Bricks, and this is looking like a brick house right now. Goldmancer on your Dragonmancer Kaisa, a Jeweled Lotus, and Infinity Edge equipped, and better together to even further stack your front line right now. How on earth are you going to break through this and deliver a big hit to Bricks at this point?
Yeah, this is a big win here for Bricks because, oh my God!
I mean, it's a
look at the gold from Lucas.
It's a combination of stacks,
and
right?
Bricks. Yeah, it's a bunch of gold for both these players. But ends up being favored for Bricks as he does have that Kaisa 2 and is able to print basically another full interest goal. Like, what was that? This item is so overpowered.
Open spell on the carousel, we've seen a lot of open tiers, so it could be a mage angle. But again, I think the big question here is about, is Bricks going to be going into that, you know, the Dragon board, or is he going to commit to the Kaiser Reap, right? Because both of those have very different perspectives as to like how this game is going to go.
Wow, glove on a Graves in the second pick. Love to see that one. Again, a lot of tiers still up for grabs.
Lucas holding 4 full components, which is a little bit unlike him. But given that he was playing the Static Shiv, Runa's Hurricane, Gadget Expert setup, it's just a little bit awkward of it whether or not he wants to commit to some of those augments, or rather some of those components.
Love seeing the Deja here just going like, hang on, Siphon's coming.
Oh, 7 here.
Just
He's
take your time.
Very Paul.
I don't know about this one.
Talk about a hard correction on the board state, right? Like, okay, Seraphine Graves time, let's go, apparently.
Within like 8 gold happened to hit almost every unit he needed short of the Pantheon, so it ends up being okay. It actually looks a lot better now that I'm seeing it.
You wouldn't imagine this being the case, right? But again, he's going to be floating a full item here because he doesn't have a second Graves here.
Says I'll rebuild.
And the issue is here, right? If he finds another copy of Graves, he's going to be down in the power level. He's 62 HP as well. The chance of him ending up like bleeding out here could be quite high, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually really don't like his spot whatsoever. I understand the idea, but I think that he weakened his board repeatedly in 2 rounds that we've seen, and he's about to take another big hit. Now, Bricks is streaking. Bricks is one of the strongest players currently in the lobby, so it's understandable why that is. But this is just the beginning of what things to come unless Deleted hits a double grave shop to start things off.
Is it a sign of nerves? Is it a sign of like not thinking clearly? Like, what is this, Nathan?
I think it's really boiling down to risk at the end of the day. You're going to have to make something big happen, and at times you're going to have to take big risks off of that. When you're sitting in a 5th place spot, you're going to have something really take place on this one. Now, I'd say that this one is a bit more of a question mark and an exclamation point, where this is a very unusual play. But if this is the take that you have on it, this is the take that you have on it. You know, we're ultimately trying to look at it from the player's perspective. What do they have to do? What are plays that they're going to have to make right now? You are set up for a major power spike. The question is that power spike ever coming into play at the right time?
Going up against Tex Summer, who's still playing the Nidalee carry. Nidalee has very much fallen off, so Tex is just playing with house money, saying, yeah, I'm at 82 HP. I know that my board isn't super strong, but thankfully, Deleted's got him, because his board is even worse somehow. Taking a 6-0 loss.
Goes level 7, breaks his entire economy, and still just loses 14 HP. Like,
It's...
lose like 20 HP out of nowhere. Like, this is a huge issue for Deleted right now.
2 players. Oh, I'm sorry, Bricks got taken down in that fight as well. Tex Summers, the lone player coming into stage 4 that is going to have a win streak on this one. So now taking a step back and really looking at this, who's going to have to take these risks and who's going to be comfortable and able to coast this one out? So
I wanted to spice this when you were saying like the Nidalee has fallen off. I would say like I've been in a lot of similar spots to this one where Nidalee 2 has kind of been able to carry these items incredibly well in my own games. Again, I do play at a fake elo. I don't think that is safe to say, right? But I don't know what this says about what's going on. But like
a cell phone.
Yeah, to be fair, but at the end of the day, right? Like we obviously see a lot of the boards around. Like they're not incredibly strong, man. So Nidalee 2 here, that is a lot of gold being produced here as well. Even has another off to pick off. Gets a rage bait potentially even here.
Yeah, and you know, the Nidalee should be falling off, but the reality is a lot of the people are not strong right now in this game. And now, because of the HP lead, can even skip 7. I don't expect this to actually do well in stage 4 for the first half, but the point is that's why we protected our HP lead, as we mentioned at the beginning of the game.
You'll notice there's not a ton of gold movement that's happening on this sidebar right now. I mean, players right now, they're looking at the augment and a level 8 perspective right now. This is going to be a tooth and nail fight to assemble the strongest board you can, because if you are not Bricks right now, you need a top finish.
It's a Deja 2 for Salvi. It's 1-star almost everything else outside the Ezreal. We'll see whether or not this Leona can hold for long enough. There's 3 items onto her. And now the second wind does kick in, healing for a little bit. Can this Deja take down the Nidalee? And yeah, that's just the start for things to come, but an excellent loss for Tex. This is exactly what he's hoping for. If I have to lose the first 3 fights of stage 4, this is how I want to lose, just by 1 or 2 units at most.
Hostway falling at 25. Kurum going to be joining him down there at 43. Both these players need big wins. A gold augment coming up in the 3rd spot, so pretty powerful lobby setup.
Stand United comes up. That is massive for Tex. That is the best augment that you can ask for offensively for a Xayah-based for composition, excuse me. Simply because the combat power is so important for all those units. Plus, you're playing Guild, so you amplify it all across the board. So in terms of what Tex hit, it was one of the best you could possibly ask for.
So he went 8 here as well. Worth noting here, Salvi. He really needs a healing coming through here. I would say so, right? Like Deja has a lot of damage, a lot of attack speed, but not a lot of healing. Do you reroll this, right? Stand United would talk about it. It's incredibly powerful as an augment. But Deja has, just the HP and the base stats to work with. No healing, no Celestial Blessing, no nothing.
And right now, Salvi just looking to stabilize the board and say, hey, you know what? I don't feel like finishing 8th right now. Let's just make this a nightmare for everybody else.
It's so unusual. His front line is so bad on paper. It's 1-star Leona, 1-star Rakan, and then 4 upgraded Swift shots in the back, including a Deja 2. This is one of the most lopsided upgraded boards you'll ever see in stage 4.
If you delete the damage, but you don't need any defense at that time. This Deja is packing right now. Prestovant, there is no way he gets through this board, but there is a way that he's taken a pretty big hit.
19 seconds that Leona lasted. Really impressive stuff and great recognition from Salvi.
That was about the same amount of time that the leader was going to last. Like he's 25 HP, has to, the pair on the bench, but this is rough, at the end of the day. The Evoker crest is going to mean there's going to be a continuous flow of CC coming through from the Seric and a little bit of extra damage on the way as well, but Graves to stop, what do you even do here? Like, you don't want to sell Seraphine 2. Seraphine 2 is a massive spike for your composition as well. Like, you have to lock this and just wait a ton.
Well, you're going to want this Rage Blade, I feel like, perhaps onto this Graves as well. This 3rd item that you're putting in here could be a lot of different things. So if you're going to sell something here, the question is, what do you sell? And I think this round in particular, I'm happier to have my 2-star Cannoneer sit and play and not have to sell this off and cripple the Graves' power.
Yeah, I agree. I think selling this Zeri is a giant mistake. Unless there's another Zeri in the shop, which I can sort of see if that was the case. Actually, I could definitely think that's the right play. As we watch Toddy's Sohm get online with the blue buff and Morello, the standard build has kind of an unusual dynamic with the cybernetic implants, but it's still fine because Cybers has a lot of tempo. And look at that tempo. Pressure deleted now down to his last life at 10 HP. And if deleted goes 8th here, pretty much removes him from contention for top 2. Prestivant takes a pretty significant loss as well and is now down in 7th place.
That's 2 Deja 2-stars in a row that Prestivant had to face there as well, as we see Lucas cooking up a big win streak here, and that was 80 gold that popped up on that sidebar right now. And as we come into this carousel, this is pretty much the high-stakes spot. I feel like this is fleshing out a lot of the players' boards, and it's going to be tough if you're in that bottom 4 spot right now.
And again, you're talking about the gold here, Nathan, right? This is going to be a massive 4-5 coming from Prestivant. He has his back against his wall right now. 30 HP to work with. That is not a lot here. We haven't really gotten a full picture of this, but you're talking about he has to face 2 Deja 2s in a row. Level 8 roll downs 4-5. They're always somewhat sketchy, right? You have a bit of gold to work with as we're going to be moving back to Joshua to your spot here. You're just going to be making that. We're going to stand the last whisper.
Yeah, settle for Last Whisper here, I think, is a pretty...
A lot of level 8s.
Pretty reasonable call here. As you just mentioned, we saw so many players go up and a ton of 2-stars being found right now. Prestivant, we saw him hit an Itis 2-star as well. That is one of the strongest front lines I think you could put together here. All the pressure right now and all the focus is for me on Josue deleted here. If you finish in 8th place, if you finish in 7th place, that is all but out of contention for the rest of this tournament.
Waiting to see who's on the other side here. It's going to be Brix. And Brix is at level 8 with the Kaisa 3. He is so filthy rich and in prime position to capitalize. An excellent spot here for Brix, who has just been lights out so far in the Western LCQ. Taking down that front line systematically. He's just down to the Graves. And I'm pretty sure this would be the end of Josue unless Graves will take down both these units. All of a sudden, showing you why Graves 2 is incredibly important, but not enough to win the fight.
Prestivant picked up a win there, so a bit of stabilization on the board as we saw Lucas take a bit of a hit. And then again, the rest of this filled out pretty much in the middle. Still a big contention for any spot here. Prestivant, not a great carrier for a Draven's Axe, I would say, in this position. But I'll tell you what, the board is cooking right now. And when you have that Goldmancer's, just anything is still up for grabs, I feel like, as long as you're not taking gigantic hits.
I feel like this boy it might be cooking for now, but we are going to be going into like 4-3, 5-3, sorry, those type of situations where like coming out the opposite side here, that's kind of board that will kind of start to fall off. Again, Volibet 2, good for stage 4, good for start phase 5, but when 2-star Dragons gets found on the back line, and this is a massive fight here.
Wow. Salvi does have that 2-star Deja wailing away. That Graves gets disarmed and now being focused. Drops aggro because of the Veg Ignite, but now it's starting to be focused once more, and that Graves doesn't have enough range to compete. And that is going to be it for this fight. Salvi once again able to show you the power of this swift shot. Deja deleted is gone, 8th place.
Eyes on Prestivant here though. He is going to be facing against this massive board from Brix.
Oh my goodness, hold a second. The electro charge almost be able to bring it back for Prestivant.
Yeah, those crits are always going to be there from Kaisa's side. So if you get close to there, that damage can definitely build up. It is not a crazy-looking dragon that we have in a spot like this. Prestivant taking a small hit in that one. But what are you looking for in a spot like this?
Almost exactly this shop. You have a Dragon's Claw that you can make. A Gunblade's really good. He's looking for Deja or Aurelion Soul. Clearly lining up for that Guardian. And this is a story of the other side of Salvi's game, which he just has not hit. That's a pair of
Terras. What?
That's just Terra 2. And a Deja! Oh my god!
This is a whole new direction that Prestivant now gets to take from this spot. You already have the Shimmer Scale, and you have the ideal opening item for it on the Goldmancers here. You are now effectively a level 8 endgame Dragons board. Wow! I feel like Prestivant is in a prime spot at this point. You have decent frontline items. You have good backline damage. It really is going to be whether or not players can crack through that front line when you're looking at Prestivant's board.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is a little bit awkward because he doesn't have like the full 4 Guardian, but Terra is really strong. We'll catch it with Prestivant in a sec as we take a look at Brix, who does have that blue buff now to complement his Dragonmancer. Part of the reason why he was keeping himself so high in gold is because he doesn't have a third item for Kai'Sa. Going up against Lucas, who has an all 1-star board and a 2-star Soraka. The Kai'Sa's on the correct side as well for this Deja because you can focus it down with Tidal Burst based off her range. She's trying to work onto the Ice as fast as he can. Ice gets kicked by the Lee Sin. Now can focus onto the back line. Deja's not minding the Kai'Sa whatsoever, and that's just going to be a deletion. That is why you frontline the Kai'Sa if you know you need access to that back line.
That was great movement there from Brix' side as well. Dodging the Zephyr, moving everything around, making everyone have to guess because it comes in that last second point. When you're able to dodge that Zephyr in a spot like that, that is absolutely securing the win when you also land the great position.
Big time win for Prestivan as well, able to get that dub over Salvi, and now start to fight back into a lobby which felt like he was behind for the longest time. And then right behind him is X in 6th place. Can North America pull themselves out of this deficit and a crucial round to determine who's going to be joining us for the Dragonlance Championship next week?
Kurum on a 3-loss streak with this board as well. Like, honestly, I'm a bit surprised, but when I look around the board, it's not like too much of it. Where do you put this Goldmancer staff? Do you have a strong carry for this? Like, everything is boiling down for these next couple of rounds for Kurum.
It's his front line. His front line is very weak. It's just a Deja 1. He gets Zephyr as well. Talk about front line. Now he's just Xiu with mediocre items trying to stall, but Lucas only has, again, a couple of 1-star dragons and some 2-star support units. Maybe this is the fight that Kurum was looking for. The Ascension's about to come in just a couple of seconds of the black hole. Deja about to get another double stack, and here we go. A big wind blast eliminates almost the entire black line. Gets the damage in. And Kurum able to deal damage to Lucas in a crucial fight, almost equalizing to the top 4.
That is very important to talk about the HP totals right now. Salvi 33, Prestivan 25. 8 HP between 7th and top 3 right now. Saya2 being found for Tech Summers. Maybe that's going to be what he's going to be needing to bring him back into the game. So taking a look at Toddy's board.
Wow.
That is a board and a half, Nathan.
I mean, it is really tough to imagine too much that you're looking for at this point. It's like, you know, you could find a Neela upgrade here. A lot of this is going to boil down to the Zephyr and the Shroud positioning. It's going to heavily influence the fight here for Toddy. Toddy and Brix currently on the only win streaks right now, and your front line is looking pretty solid when you got a blue buff and a jewel gauntlet.
Oh, Neela's on the right side, but you might get Zephyred. And that's a big-time Zephyr for Tex because it stalls just that much longer for Zai to work onto that front line, and Neela has to now work through the front. Excellent micro, but the raw power of these Lagoons are really strong. And it comes down to whether or not the Sohm can burst down with Neela onto that Xayah. We're working onto the Sohm, no Tide Blossom, and a crucial Zephyr able to knock down Toddy just a little bit.
I feel like RFC is probably one of the worst items. It does go under Neela right there. There's an open slot right there. If I do recall correctly, Prestivan 9 HP, as we're talking about. Another mage spat as well. Guardians. There are a lot of really high priority things, right? Soraka with a Guardian spat with someone like Preston who's like looking towards that angle right now. The mage spat for Toddy potentially as well. Swift shot emblem for Salvi. There are so many things that someone's going to take those. Is that though?
So Bramble to shut down a lot of the crits that are taking place there. There's just nothing wrong with any of the takes that you're going to end up from these kind of spots. Brix is going for the Dragonmancer spot. Not too much of a surprise, I would say. Toddy, QSS? Interesting.
So Toddy takes QSS. That might be a nod to his Neela or his front line, just maybe trying to avoid it being CC'd down. But the moment of interest does go to Prestivan, who is going to have to roll down, see if he can hit any other dragons. I just don't think that Deja 1 can do this. Not to mention that he hasn't been winning all of his fights, so he's not even at full stack. Hold on a second. That is a Yasuo too, and we've seen some big comebacks from a Yasuo player.
Or Guardian as well. This Yasuo's going to stay alive for such a long time. Doesn't matter there's no blue buff. Doesn't matter there's any sort of ability. That shield is going to be massive.
And that right there, when you see Prestivan itself, the rest of this board, that is high confidence in this holding up. But again, your backline damage is a 1-star unit right now. Going up against Liquids, Kurum X in this spot. Is this enough to hold it down? I'm seeing that Dragon's Claw put a lot of time into play right now, but I'm not so sure about this. The board getting chewed down, and if that Yasuo is going to stay alive the whole time, we know what that final hit's going to do. That third ability will slice through anything that's in play right now. The Yasuo getting focused but gets taken down, but ultimately, Prestivan makes the right call. These Dragons and that Yasuo too able to hold down this round.
Salvi ends up taking another loss as well. We do see a little bit of separation from the top HP. Kurum finally hits Idas 2. Salvi, we're checking on him. Also has Terra pair, but just looks to be the slightly inferior version of Prestivin's board. As we see an additional sell-off, everyone getting the Dragons online. But Lucas, we talked about this possibility that Lucas would go for Fast 9, just say, hey, the Gadget Expert was just to carry me early game. Can I find a way to get the Dragons in? A little bit of rearrangement at the last second. And the Kaisa is on the correct side for Brix. Brix has a lot of gold to still work with at level 9, and we're now starting to focus onto some of the Dragons. Here comes the Black Hole onto the front line, not targeting down the Kaisa. Kaisa is cutting through the front line like hot knife through butter, and we're trying to see whether or not this Aso can get the Ascension here on the next Black Hole, which is about to hit. Kaisa is focusing down the Aurelion solo, and I think that's just going to be enough. Look at how much gold appears all of a sudden for Brix. Wow. And Goldmancer Kaisa able to get it done. 2 players eliminated. Kurum X out in 7th. Salvi out in 6th.
3 items as well coming through here. Now, these Dragon Parts that are all around, they're going to be able to itemize every single Dragon.
Well, this is actually not good for Lucas because he itemized almost all of his Dragons already because of that Thieves Glove.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it might be drop some of these items, like maybe you sell the Shield with the Thieves Gloves, put items you want on the Shield.
Talk about secondary carry setup coming through with a Brix. Triple AP support.
Wait, that's incredible because we can put blue buff onto the Yasuo. We could put JG. Well, you don't really want JG nearly as much onto the Kaisa, but you do want to spend your gold, so that dynamic's a little bit awkward. Either way, a fantastic pickup for Brix.
I mean, Archangel's cope work, right? Again, it's not like the immediate power spike, right? Again, but it is still going to be some. But these fights are going as long as they are. It is going to scale quite well here. This roll down is big. Again, like looking for a Jax 3 potentially, looking for just anything. Soraka, even there are a lot of
Yasuo
things.
too.
Yasuo is massive. The blue buff we're talking about being picked up here. That is going to do a lot of work. And now the big decision point is this Goldman staff going to be moved off of this Kaiser to be exchanged for that Archangel staff?
A lot of extra 2-stars as well to put on the bench there. Prestivant, though, they're the player on the chopping block right now in 5th place in this lobby right now, but sitting in the top 4 where points are concerned. But Prestivant's board is pecking.
Well, he gets shrouded and Zephyr'd in a way that he doesn't want to. But then Neela is also working onto this Deja.
Neela won, though.
Neela not able to get the job done because she's at 1-star, but still enough chip damage just clipping this Deja. The Guardian finally kicks in. Can this Wind Blast restore enough HP? And there's just so much stuff. And now this Deja, the secondary Wind Blast, able to clean up some of the backline. Neela also goes down. A crucial victory here for Prestivant because his Dragon board is just too strong. Prestivant is coming for that top 4.
Look at the damage dealt as well. The Toddy, he's like, every time we see Prestivant win fights, he's just bringing everyone else closer to his HP total. Doesn't matter, he's a 9 HP. He's so strong right now.
We'll see. Another thing that to call into question is that Prestivant is greeting these Monolith Hexes every single round, making his positioning quite predictable. He does do one thing. He moves his Banshees to the front to try to get Idas to dodge things like that Zephyr. But Prestivant, a player who's very good with his micro, can he find a way to continue to get that positioning edge?
If you're not facing up against a player who's going to be able to Zephyr or Shroud in an important manner, ultimately you do want to just place on these spots. But I'm seeing the Kaisa on the same side versus this Deja, and that is a bad thing to have happen.
Well, it kind of depends on how this Yasuo tracks as well. Right now, Deja is still safe. That Dragon Claw on the Idas is really huge, plus that Gunblade to get that healing.
What a kick!
Idas has kicked him to the other side, so he's able to deflect a little bit more. Kaisa can't get through that Dragon's Claw very quickly, and now it's 4v1 with 3 of these being Dragons.
Look at that.
Oh, and the execute from the Sweeping Blade number 3. And Brix finally takes a loss.
Thomas 1 HP.
Prestivant has moved up to the top 4, and he currently, alongside Toddy, were players that were contending for that second place alongside Tech Summers.
And not only that, but Brix is looking to close out a lobby and really claim this first place spot right now. Sitting at 24 points, a win's going to put him at 32 points after this. For Prestivant, for Tech Summers, if you are not finishing in that second and third place spot, that's a sailing point for Brix at that point.
I mean, look at this. These boards here again. Like, this is the board for Tech Summers. We talk about how hard these sideboards are to pull off here.
Is this another 4th? It looks like it's going to be. This is such a hard board to deal with. And this board gets stronger every round the more gold you get. Nice Zephyr. Onto that Deja, able to stall just for a little bit. The predictability of Precedent positioning, will it cost him? That Dragon Scent lands,
Bard.
chain CC, another cast trying to stall this Deja. We have the Zaya starting to work onto the front line as best as we can. But this Itis just refuses to quit. Look at the Guardians work together in harmony. Precedent able to go
Rage Blade.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
That Wind Blast is enough.
Wow!
Precedent is out of here!
Unbelievable narrow victory for Tech Summers. That Zephyr was everything, catching Precedent with his pants down.
Right, this carousel, Nathan, like, you look at these things like the Soraka with a Death Cup here for Tech Summers, right? Again, just getting that extra item for that Shyvana just to bring those multiple massive damage sources into play.
Nobody else wants a Yasuo with a blue buff?
They already have it!
It's only like 19 of them that felt like we saw this lobby so far. My goodness. And again, just look at the lead that Brix has. We brought this up at the start of the show as well, where Brix is just very confident in capping out their boards in spots like this, and it just continues to seem like it's the case, where Brix just time and time again in these back-to-back tournaments having lots of first-place finishes.
Huge upgrades coming through all around now. So many like Shroud, Zephyrs. There are so many micro things going on right now. Like every little movement is going to be so important.
And Lucas knows that the matchup is Tech Summers, trying to dodge the Zephyr himself. Where does Tex also aim on the other side? We're getting the Zaya
the Shroud does
potentially.
close to nothing.
We miss on both sides. The Shroud does catch the units onto the left. Here comes that Rakan with that infinite range. Dragon Sense about to hit the board. Aurelion Sol is going to ascend in just a couple of seconds. There's a lot of fireworks.
Rakan?
But can we deal with this Aurelion Sol that's about to hit for a million?
Oh my.
And there's just no stopping this Dragon board. We're almost out of damage completely. It's just up to this Shyvana from Tech Summers.
Ascension though.
And that's just going to be it. I don't think there's any way for the Shyvana to get it done. Oh, unless able to get it done. And Luke is able to fight for that top two. Brix has done it once more. A top two finish will put him in that almost guaranteed spot. We'll take a look at the standings at the end of this game.
This is the Brix that we were talking about. We saw on day 1, day 2. Didn't show up day 3. But here in the last chance qualifier, you gotta say, like, he has just been putting in absolute work.
This is the day 3. This is Brix's day 3. And that's what I'm looking forward to right here, right now. For Lucas, we saw a big difference in that Bloodthirster holding down the last fight. We saw how crucial the Zephyrs can be, and that it just barely missed. That positioning change that we saw on the Kaisa at the end, is this enough to get it done right now? This Kaisa feels like it's just going to be untouched.
I mean, it's right in the face of the Itis, so it's kind of clumped up. Oh no, catching a lot of strays.
Oh,
the Dragon's Ascent, the
Frill
black
them?
hole.
Oh no, the group!
Oh dear, that was not exactly what Brix was wanting to see. That was a disaster.
You know, I saw exactly what they're trying to do there, but ultimately the club, it really cost them that fight.
And again, yes, we said the Zephyr misses. It didn't. It locked down the Soraka, meaning that the healing coming through, that could have kept some of these units alive for a while, maybe made the Frill have an impact. Just didn't have time.
Well, okay, so that didn't work out. Maybe we can try something else.
I mean, now we have Jade in play. Did we have that before?
We've had Jade in play for quite a few rounds now, but I think that the problem is that there's no easy backline access. Lucas was trying to catch, or rather Brix was trying to catch these backline dragons and was not successful even busting through the front line.
It's like the Seeks have been put onto the Soraka now, right? So that does telegraph a little bit of in terms of what he wants to do positioning-wise. Again, that is going to be a huge thing as well. Because again, Shroud, Zephyr, all these things have to be dodged. When you telegraph what you're going to do so clearly, that is going to, have to be a big thing to talk about.
Or it could be a red herring. Maybe it can mislead.
Oh boy.
You don't necessarily need Zeke, because we do see the Volibear. That is really nice. A little bit extra HP and the ability to pump up your Kaisa that much more.
Shiv got added to play as well too. A bit of magic damage shred that's coming into the play for Brix now as well. But I'm seeing a Shroud, like you said, and then again this Zephyr. That's really what it boils down to. I feel like that from Brix's spot, dodging this Zephyr properly is a big deal.
Okay, ends up going for that Zephyr, or rather the Zeeks. Can he dodge any of the Shrouds? And the Zephyr does manage to navigate around both. We'll see if this fight is going to change things up and whether or not Brix can finish what he started. The Dragon's Ascent has really good items, Blue Buff and Morello onto this Kaisa to stop any kind of easy healing from the Thrill of the Hunt. We do have a couple units left, but that Yasuo too is going to be able to potentially get some big CC.
Shiv.
No Gunblade, no healing, no dice. Lucas is dead. Brix has done it again. Game number 5 goes to Brix from Tunisia.
Wow, just what a performance we're seeing.